In this video, we'll be dealing with databases and web service. We indicated that back-end web development includes manipulation of data, its storage, configurations for servers to be able to host the websites that clients are currently seeing, the websites that we use front-end development to come up with. Let's have a look at all the logic that happens in the back end that help users' experience become better. Let's discuss a database. We indicated that for dynamic websites to come into play, then we need some form of information to be retrieved from an external source. Databases can be used to store such information. A database is a collection of data that is stored electronically and organized for easy access. We'll use electronically in this case because we're using computers. Otherwise, data can also be stored on paper and other means. We use SQL, which is called a structured query language, to access and manipulate data on a database, storing, retrieving, modifying, etc. Data is stored in related tables so that it is better organized. For example, you could have a table of login information and have a table of user information, which are all related using a username. The first table is the table which has login information, and then the second table has information about that particular user. A database can be comprised of several more databases which are usually linked for better access. Let's move on to another trend in technology that we use in web development for storing data. It's called JSON. JSON, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. This is simply just syntax or file format for storing and exchanging data. The data in this file is written in human-readable language, which makes it easier to manage. This means that you can store your information within this file that we call a JSON file and then retrieve it from within your website. Data in JSON files can be converted to JavaScript objects and then retrieved using JavaScript. This makes it easier because once you already have the knowledge for JavaScript, then you can simply just retrieve information from that. But JavaScript is not the only language you can use to get data from JSON. You can parse the JSON file into several other scripting languages like Perl, Java, Python, and a lot more other languages that you'd like to use. Information can be stored in databases or JSON files with different formats. You can use strings, numbers, Boolean values, and a lot more data formats to store your information. Let's have an example of a JSON file. You have your variable of users. In this particular case, we stored the information that's on the user table. You provided your name, your surname, and your age. So you can create an array or a group of those elements that you want to put in your JSON file, depending on how much data you have. It's quite simple because of the human-readable language and the fact that you do not need to learn SQL to manage this particular file. You can simply just type in text into it once you have a particular format. Let's move on to web service. We mentioned that backend development doesn't only involve data manipulation, but servers and server configurations as well. We have what we call a web server. This is when a particular software or hardware is dedicated to serving components for the web, for example, websites. This particular hardware will serve or provide information with regard to websites. It processes data that works over HTTP and HTTPS, which are the protocols that we use for website access. There are several examples from different vendors of web servers that we can use, like Apache, IIS, and Jinx. You have these particular applications running on your laptop or a dedicated server which handles a larger load. Apache is one of the most commonly used web servers. For more information, you can refer to my course on Introduction to Responsive Websites, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap 4 on how to set up your environment to use this particular web server and start with your web development projects. Let's have a look at the technologies or languages that you can use in the next videos.